Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's been enjoying their Friday night thus far. Since there's no pirate radio podcast tonight, I decided, spur of the moment, that I want to go live. I got several things I want to talk about. Several things that I've kind of been biding my time to speak on until I cooled off a bit on certain subjects. And a few things, after talking to a few people, things that come to. Of course, that's what rambling or the chaotic mind's all about anyway. Talking about those things and thoughts that just flowed, flow, that you sometimes just put off, don't address right away. But it's been a crazy week. I think as many of us have watched some things unfold that just make no sense. None whatsoever. Heard more reports of people losing their WordPress sites today and other platforms being removed from, all because the content they talk about. We're entering a time where it's just everything's out of control. It really is. I mean, we've got advertisers, businesses telling these tech platforms, these social media platforms, what content they can show and share. If you're allowing this content, we're not going to pay you. We're not going to give you money. We're going to remove our endorsements. It's getting like really, really out of control. It's gotten to the point where got a notification earlier this week. Oh, Steve or D Lives upgraded their site, made it sound all big. You know what? I'm not impressed. You've changed literally, in my opinion, nothing. Still stuck running, having to use the crappy OBS. And no notification system. Oh, the best part, the one part that I would want to fix first off before I messed with anything is actually when I share a video or when I share I went live, showing what the video is and a description of it, not their stupid advertisement for D Live, because people see that they're not going to click on it. But I guess it's more important to have direct message notifications and stuff like that. That's one of my main gripes about the mines. There's no notification system. I don't get notifications when groups I moderate that I have posts to approve or something's been posted in a group I'm in. So I don't know to go there. So when I go over there, I've got earlier today, first time I've been on there today, 417 notifications in the bell thing, but not a single email, which is kind of good. But that's one of the first things any person that builds a social platform of any type, the first thing you make sure you have that works is a notification system. But no. So, I'm finding mine's even more disappointing of late. I mean, yes, it's great today. You can boost my content, reach more people, but at the same token, I don't even know when somebody comments on a video or a post. Then by the time I get back on there, you know, there's hundreds of other notifications. I mean, send me a notification that somebody commented so I know. I can go right there and respond back, get that dialogue going. But no, they don't want to mess with that, you know. But that's the things we're going to be dealing with when we try to look for alternative sites to go to. we're not going to have the things that we are accustomed to. We're not going to be able to live stream with Hangouts. We're not going to be able to use XSplit. No, you can only use OBS. No, we don't have a streaming app built that allow you to stream, so you have a different option that's built in. Or you go to Gab, and that's all. You need to be a premium member to live stream. Like hell, I'm gonna pay you guys when you've bowed down to your hosting provider and removed content. So no, you're not a free speech platform as you claim. So there's issues everywhere we go, and there is no perfect site, and that's understandable. There never will be, because in order to be, you got to allow investors in, and those investors want to control the content that's on your site. They want to control the information. They don't want you competing against their other bigger investments. So it becomes the game of control. What are you willing to give up to have what you want? I'm not giving up on it. I'm not willing to give up anything when it comes to my freedoms. Not even a little bit. It's not even a subject that you can broach, because I won't give in. But yet, we have states. There was a bill passed this week. I can't remember what state, but basically, for those that get a medical marijuana card, so they can legally smoke medical marijuana, they forfeit their rights to their Second Amendment. That's BS. But yet it's one more thing to strip more people of their rights. It's just one more slap and insult to our founding fathers, to those of us that believe and stand up for the Constitution. Then, let's talk about a mockery of our legal justice system. A straight joke. The shit that's happened out in New Mexico is more than enough to get your blood boiling. Just reading about what took place, what happened out there. Then you get this ultimate slap in the face, this ultimate fuck you to everybody, when the judge releases them on own recognizance bond. How they put $20,000 OR? Well, the OR is own recognizance, which means you don't pay no money. You sign your signature saying that I will be at the next court date. There's no money. It's just your own recognizance, your own word. Which, back when they did that, your word meant something. But we're talking about somebody that the FBI was investigating for over 13 years as a suspected domestic terrorist. Dude, they had a compound where they were teaching kids to shoot, to be school shooters. Right there alone should have been grounds enough to deny bail or set bail at a ridiculous amount. But, I'll give you one better. Said dude is wanted in Georgia for kidnapping of his 3-year-old son, the 3-year-old kid that was dead. So therefore, it's not even about the state level, because he crossed state lines. Therefore, it is a federal case, which, in the grounds in itself, kidnapping is an F1 felony, which means his bond should have been $500,000 and into the millions. But Since he had a warrant for his arrest, he wasn't even eligible for a bond. But the judge wanted to say, "Oh, because he's a Muslim, you violated his constitutional right. You persecuted him because of his religious beliefs." Uh, you brought me no evidence that he's committed a crime. Oh, wait, what the hell? Training kids to be school shooters in itself is a domestic, it's not even a domestic, it's a terrorist activity. You're training people to go shoot people up. And the worst part is you're doing it to kids. Let's not to mention the fact that the one dude was wanted in Georgia. There's nowhere can you justify giving that person a bond. But this judge did. And that was more than enough to piss me off because anybody else would have done this. They wouldn't even been a bond hearing. And if there was, the bond would have been set so high they'd never been able to pay it. It makes me really start questioning what the hell is going on in this world today when stuff like that happens and you let them out on their own recognizance, on their own word. It makes me wonder what that judge was even doing as a judge. We're seeing so much of that. We're seeing so many judges out there rule based on politics. That's not their job. Their job is to be neutral and rule based on the law, the interpretation of the law, not make it up as they go or not play politics. When they do that, they violated the very oath that they took to hold that office, to be an honorable judge. But hey, I guess that's okay in this day and age. It was never okay in my day and age. Wasn't it okay in my forefathers' day and age? And it's obviously not okay when the Supreme Court's overruled the Ninth Circuit how many times in the past 2 years? How many times my own state of Ohio has had court cases in the Supreme Court and they've been flat out told the law that you have and are using is unconstitutional, but they won't change it? Yes, there's so many problems. And I've talked to several people this week, and even that's why I haven't done a video since Monday, other than what I did on Tuesday at Pirate Radio Podcast. And even there, really got frustrated trying to share a link talking about that very subject I just talked about. I couldn't share that link. It was kept denying me the ability to share that link to the chat. But I could paste any other link into the chat. What's up, Rob? Not a problem. Okay, so move on. We start talking about, there's another good one. Canada actually putting their foot down with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia turns around, threatens Canada with, we'll just send a plane into one of your tallest buildings and we'll just have a repeat of 9/11. Flat out threatened them. Guess what? Couldn't share that link either. It was more than enough to piss you off. This censorship, information. They're trying to control the information that people can talk about. Oh yeah, people don't need to hear that. Yeah, they do. They very well damn well need to hear that. I think we live in a day and age where we all somehow as adults, seem to have babysitters. That's telling us what we can do and can't do, what we can say and can't say. I'm sorry, I'm a grown ass man. I'm 40 fucking years old. You have no business telling me what I can and can't say, especially here in the United States. Once I turned 18, I had the right to say what I want because I'm considered an adult. But that offends some people. Now it's getting to the point where country music is now offensive. You gotta sign in to watch this country's music. This may have some content that is known to be oppressive. What the fuck? But yet I don't see that being posted on rap music. Just saying. And I don't really like country music. I never liked rap music. But I'm an adult. If I don't like something, that means I don't go looking for it and listen to it. I don't tune into things that I find offensive unless I'm trying to be triggered unintentionally. So something to question or think about. Because there's some people I follow that, truthfully, I can't stand. But every now and then, as the old saying, every now and then a dog does get a bone. Every now and then they put out something good. Or every now and then they make me think and question something. That's why it's good to follow people with opposing views. They make you think, they make you question. Oh, I can see them messing with that as well. Trying to say, "Oh, that's racist." Yeah. Then let us not talk about Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook threatening an Australian media company. Either you work with us or find yourself on hospice. Well, I found that very offensive. I found that very problematic. Is that what the EU policies are about? That Mark Zuckerberg claims and flat out told Congress, I'm going to adhere and I'm going to make Facebook's policies match the EU policies? Because if that's what the EU policies is all about, we got a problem. Because we've had congressmen say maybe we need to adapt what the EU's doing to censor the internet. Then how many people got caught up in the other deception this week? Let's talk about the other deception this week. And this actually originated and started in yet again another Judiciary Committee hearing or a committee hearing in Congress. I don't know if it was so much the judiciary, but it was the FCC being in a hearing, and they said they took down a Houston radio station, and that Alex Jones and they hit Alex Jones for piracy of the radio. You know what? The first time I heard that, it took me a good 10 minutes to actually catch. Wait, Alex Jones don't own a radio station. Alex Jones isn't on the radio, but he is on the radio because people broadcast him on the AM on their radio stations. But they put the blame and said it was Alex Jones, and it wasn't Alex Jones. It was the Houston radio station that just happened to got himself in trouble with the FCC. But they tried to target Alex Jones. Then all the mainstream media, though, they were quick to jump on it. Some of them that finally actually retracted their statement. But how many of them are talking about China? You know, I got a good laugh Tuesday night. Just happened to be over on Twitter and I seen this article. The Washington Times. It's like, yeah, joke, right? But, it was one of those, you learn to go off feeling. And it was one of the, it just stood out to me. It was like, first off, why am I seeing a retweet of something in the Washington Times? Then I kind of actually, because, something just felt I needed to check it out. So I checked it out. Alex Jones was right. Huh? Wait. What's the catch, right? Alex Jones is right. What's the catch? Especially coming from the Washington Times. It was a very good article. And basically, the gist of it, this reporter for the Washington Times who wrote this article flat out said, now, I don't agree with him what he said about Sandy Hook, which is a good thing. Because, he flat out said, a friend of mine died there when that happened. And he pointed out, and he also pointed out what many of us said, love him or hate him. But he also pointed out he's right. What about China? And I'm going to take this back to once more the Judiciary Committee with Facebook, YouTube, / Google, and Twitter. This one senator asked him a very good question. He started with Facebook. What about China? What about Iran? What about Israel? Were they influencing our elections? Were they posting stuff? Did they have accounts that were manipulating people? Well, the first answer, well, I don't know. I don't have the statistics on that. I have to get back with you. He's like, no, it's a simple yes or no question. Were they? Second time, she's like, I don't really know. Then finally, the third time, I'm going to give Facebook actually a little credit here. She was honest, brutally, unlike the other two cowards in their room. She was brutally honest after having to repeat herself the third time. She finally said, no, we don't know because you guys specifically asked us to look and investigate the Russian connection. And that's what we gave you. That's what we brought for you. We did not look into China or any other country. What? Some honesty for once? Well, then we get to the other two. We'll have to get back with you on it. We don't have the answer, but we'll get back with you after the hearing. Same way as Twitter said the same thing. But finally, an honest answer. But it took being asked 3 times to get an honest answer. We don't know. We all full well damn know. I mean, it's pretty sad. PBS back in 2000s, late 2000s, did a documentary with Dick Cheney. I couldn't stand that man, but I tell you what he talked about and the threat that China is to the world, to our economy, to our every internet social platforms. I mean, he just broke it down. The shit that China's pulled. It was like, man, why didn't you do something about it when you were in office as vice president? Oh, wait, you're too focused on finishing up seniors' work. Okay. But we all know, none of us are blind. We know what they do. I mean, we've seen stupid documentary reality shows where I don't know if anybody's actually watched any of them, but the Gold Rush one, well, they decided to stake it out somewhere. I think it was in South America. There was a couple other ones too, where they tried to stake it out. Their very claim on the land that they've got rights to, they couldn't even touch because there was these Chinese people with shotguns and weapons stripping the place. The authorities wouldn't come in because they didn't have the manpower. And it's happening all over the world. They're all over the place, stripping, going after the natural resources, but nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to put the blame where it belongs. Nobody wants to blame one of the biggest offenders in the whole world, and everybody knows it. Nah, it's all Russia. Just like nobody wants to talk about the 90 plus Muslims that are running for office. You know, we've seen this play out in other countries. Europe, Britain, France. There's a particular mayor over there, and we're seeing what's unfolding, kinda, because now, with the EU's policies on censorship, people are risking just to share a video or even talk about it. They might find themselves in jail like Tommy Robinson. I don't know how many videos I've seen just the last 24 hours of utter pandemonium chaos going on in the streets. But my hat's off to the Europeans. They finally are standing up, finally doing what needs to be done, showing that they're not going to be ran up out of their country. But they don't want you to see that. Just occasionally, we'll get clips of these videos. So yes, I have a big problem with the censorship. I have a big problem with a lot of things. I have a big problem when somebody thinks it's okay to strip you of your freedoms, your right to have an opinion and view. But Rob, after our conversation last night, because you you pointed out things I was feeling. I know what you were feeling, and I said it's in the air. It is. It's worse than that. The more I actually thought about our conversation last night, Rob, the more a few things fell in place. And I'm not big on movies. I'm not big on giving a rat's ass what Hollywood puts out. But so many movies in the last 10 years, they've had a common theme. You know, everybody remember The Hunger Games? Great movie, right? Had a common theme. What about Civil War, the Avengers, or Captain America and them? Infinity Wars. Got a common theme. So many more movies like that had that common theme. The Purge. That common theme. It's so in our faces right now. It's like they're showing this, preparing you for it, wanting you to do it. When we start seeing these pieces of puzzles fall into place and revealing themselves, we got to stop and question. Because that's the stuff we're watching. That's the stuff we're allowing in. I mean, we've heard it this year. We heard it last year. The CW word being thrown around, and it finally started getting thrown around by congressmen, governors, mainstream media. Yes, even Alex Jones was throwing it around last year a lot. He chilled out when mainstream media did, started throwing it around. But it's there. It's been in our faces. It's been in the movies we watch, Star Wars. It's a common, reoccurring theme. And it makes you stop. You gotta stop. You gotta question. Because I don't like doing the breaking movies down because so many people do it and they're good at it. I don't always agree with it, but they're good at it. Sometimes, some of us have taught ourselves to put up defenses. So a lot of that shit that affects so many other people, the manipulation, the psychological warfare, the programming, we don't catch it because it doesn't affect us. We've taught ourselves and been taught how to block that stuff. We're aware of it, so when we see it, we throw those natural defenses up and it just goes right on by. So people that do these things are important because sometimes we miss it because we're protecting ourselves not to get caught up in that manipulation, that programming. For a lot of you, you guys don't get what I'm talking about, and that's okay. You guys know what psychological warfare is. So, and subliminal messages and stuff. It's what I'm talking about. It's predictive programming. It's been used, became more popular after World War II, but it's been used forever. Putting something in your face, it's that repetition I talked about. The more you put it in your face, and the more discreetly you do it, like with the movies. All those movies I named, they all have a common theme. There's been so many of them, I can't even sit here and list them. And Rob, we wonder why we was feeling what we've been feeling, why we feel that off so many other people. That's why. It's that predictive programming starting to come into creation. It's that energy floating off everybody. Everybody's frustrated. Everybody's pissed off. I had to go to my brother's today. I was like, man, I haven't visited Larry in forever. I'm going to stop by his house. Hopefully I can catch him home. You know, because he was like he was like a dad to me. We just lost touch over the years. And I finally got in touch with him this year. We was having some of these very conversations because he's older, but he sees the same things that all of us see, and he's asking why. I don't get it. Then we started talking. Well, a lot of people, that's what they're being taught in school. They're not even being taught the history that me and you were taught in school, that me and your son was taught in school. And I told him, man, like 4 or 5 years ago, a friend of mine that lived out in California, her daughter was arguing with her, saying the Boston Tea Party never happened. And I'm like, and she called me. I'm like, well, what do you call me? Did I forget to do something? Something wrong with the site? You know, she's like, no, can you believe this? My daughter doesn't believe, says the Boston Tea Party never happened. I'm like, oh, you're funny, you're joking, right? She wasn't joking. For a half hour, we sat there and tried to argue with her 10-year-old daughter about it. But that's what they taught her in school. You know what her words were? Well, you told me that I need to listen to my teacher. What my teacher teaches us is true. I'm like, ooh, talk about having to eat your own words as a parent. Glad I'm not in your shoes. Because she's right. I was told the same thing growing up. Listen to your teachers. That's that Common Core bullshit where they deem that anything that left a blemish, that could be deemed as a blemish on what America stands for today, needs to be removed from our history books. That's why it's been so easy to remove the monuments. Even that's something me and Larry talked about. You know, he's like, and he's like, man, you know me. I'm like, yeah, I know you. There's part where me and you disagree on. But he even said, I don't care. Those monuments should never come down. It's so we don't repeat the darkest parts of our history. It needs to be taught so we don't repeat those things. Just like he said, even the civil rights movements need to be taught in our history so people know, so we don't repeat that. Because, he pointed out to me, he goes, you remember how I was when you met me? He goes, other than Emilio and a couple other people, he's like, I was a racist. That's how I was brought up. And he's not from the South, he's from the North. But over the years, he's seen that he was wrong. He changed. Of course, it started because of his kids. They had friends that weren't white, they were Mexican, black. And he's seen that some of the things he was taught, they weren't right, they weren't true. And he, changed his thoughts on that. Seen him. I actually watched him apologize to some people. Man, I was wrong for my way of thinking back then. It's because, that's how he was brought up. I know people like that. That's the way they were brought up. But even that, over the years, he was able to change and see things differently. See, we don't need a babysitter over us as adults. We're going to learn. We're always learning. We're always growing. We're always changing. Eventually, we're going to see something, experience something that's going to make us change something about ourselves. Don't need nobody forcing us to. It's going to happen. It happens all the time. But when we start being controlled and told what you can watch, what you can see, there's a danger because if what you're cramming down my throat every day is stuff that's talking about civil unrest, that's depicting it, I gotta stop and question the psychological aspects of that, the manipulation that's going on. Because, you know, I used to be a big comic book fan, DC, Marvel, and for those of us that were around for that, we all know what ma- the black comic book series was. It was the death of Superman, but it was more than that. That's also when the Civil War happened. The split between DC and Marvel. It had nothing to do with what they showed us in the Avengers and how they played that out. But most people don't know that because that happened like in the early '90s. And for anybody that's got mint conditions of that I think it was like 15 comic book series, it's worth money. But that's what that was about. But yet they twisted it. They've manipulated it. And they've shown all of us this stuff. I can see why people are the way they are right now, why there's so much tension. Because it's been in our face. It's when we take a break from it to sit down and watch a movie. It's in our face still. And we don't realize it because when we sit down and tune everything else, we're there relaxing. We let our guards down. But yet, we're being bombarded with programming. We're bombarded. Our very psychic is under attack from the very movies we're watching because they're predictive programming you to want to cause civil unrest. I'm shocked that maybe somebody has and I just haven't caught it, but I'm shocked nobody's pointed that out or caught that. Let's put some of these how all these movies all seem to have a general theme of late. And some of you guys, oh yeah, that's just BS. Okay, let's look at all the B-rated climate change movies they've had. Crazy weather phenomena. The weather manipulation movies. Most of them are B-rated. Look what's happening out in California. All these fires. Yeah, now I never knew there was a term fire tornado until this year. That it's an actual term's been around for a while, so it's just a rare event. Yesterday, a firefighter died. from a fire tornado. The base of this fire tornado was 3 football fields. It was putting winds of 169 mile per hour. We're talking about Category 2 hurricane wind strength of fire with a base of 3 football fields. That's 300 yards. That is huge. That's not, I don't even know how that's conceivably natural. This crazy weather that we've had this year makes no sense. You know, it's like me and Larry was talking about some of these freak storms we've had the last couple of weeks here. You know, couple places confirmed tornadoes. The crazy weather we had last Friday that came from the north and went due south. The only time we see weather like that around here in Ohio, northwest Ohio, is during the winter with Alberta Clippers. Almost all of our weather comes from the west and moves east. And occasionally we get southern storms that come up from the south, but never during the summer do we ever, hardly ever, I mean, I can't remember a time that I've ever seen a storm in the summer come from the north and move due south. And the damage that that storm caused was unreal. Watching the clouds these last few couple weeks with these crazy storms. It's like you're watching these clouds. You got clouds going left, right, up, down, north, south, east, west. It's like the clouds don't even know what direction to go. You know, some of that I would say, well, it's, you know, it's just there's a lot of rotation up there. That's not rotation. Rotation, you know, it's rotation. Circle. We're not talking about circular rotation. We're talking about north, northwest, east, southeast, southwest, west. That's what we're talking about. No direction, no real rotation. It's like, what the hell am I looking at? You know, I don't have any real answer for it, but I do know what I feel. You know, I do know what I see with the animals and stuff. I do know it don't feel natural. Even to the animals, they don't even, the way they act when these storms come around, it's not natural. And that seems to be some of the problem. They try to force upon us what is normal. They try to tell us that censorship is normal, that controlled information is normal. There's nothing normal about any of those things, and I could go on with a huge list and a huge tirade on that very subject. What's not normal that they try to tell us is normal. My idea of normal differs quite readily. You know, just like, you know, something big turn off for me. Somebody that says, "Oh, this is righteous. We need more righteous people." Um, no. They called the Crusades righteous. Sure, there's plenty of people that would disagree on that back in those times. They called burning heretics at the stake righteous. Yep, those free-thinking people that decided that they're going to speak out, I don't think they thought that was very righteous. The word righteous is much just like any other thing we talk about. Oh, black, white magic. There's no such thing. It's all intent. I know plenty of zealots out there, plenty of cult leaders that claim their movements were righteous, and they weren't. So many people want to throw that word around, and they don't realize that that's just part of the programming. No movement is righteous, because somebody's going to have a different opinion of it. Somebody's going to have a different view of the way they think it should be done and went about. You see, people forget the most powerful weapon in the world is not a physical weapon. It's not even a weapon at all. It's your voice. You, those that are listening, the viewers, those that watch this later, your voice is the most powerful tool you have, and that is what they fear the most. They have feared it from the beginning of time. They fear somebody that is a free thinker, somebody that has the ability to formulate opinions and have views, to question and to speak. That makes you dangerous in their eyes. They fear that the most. So they try to silence your voice. They create colorful labels and terms for it. They create groups to police it or to fact check it. All to control what information is being shared. Oh no, we don't need people hearing that or talking about that. We don't want them knowing that. So therefore, we need to censor you. We need to bombard you with 5G and really fry your frequencies and vibrations. Well, my question to that, what are you going to do with those of us that know how to control those things, know how to change our frequencies and vibration to block those things? What are you going to do about us? What are you going to do about the ones of us that know the true power and meaning of silence? Hmm. You see, you can't stop my voice. Your voice is eternal. It will ring out through eternity. Say, oh, that's BS, am I? Look at history. Look at all the great quotes we quote from. Because a person spoke it. And it's still known to this day. It's lasted a millennia. And they fear that because they know that 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 voice had that much power to last a millennia. They fear people that are going to come out there and say, well, this person's lying. He's never voted for these things. He's always voted against those things, but yet he's promising you so he can get your vote, or she is promising you so she can get your vote, that she's going to stand up to these things, but her past, her history has shown otherwise. Her voice has shown otherwise. His voice has shown otherwise. And we buy it. We believe it. Now they want to control it, so we can't point them out and show you. The truth is, guys, the reality of things, they got some things right in those movies. Because that's the road we're heading for, and history has shown us that sometimes when you choose to be silent for so long, you're stuck on the road that is now unavoidable. The question is, how do we go about it? When do we say enough's enough? Or can we find another path and forge a new one and find a way to divert ourselves off this ticking time bomb that we're on? I think it's kind of hard when we're being psychologically programmed to go down this road just from the movies, from everything we see, constantly bombarded with here on this ethernet. Because we're not dealing with a physical realm, a physical world. We're dealing with an ethereal realm, an ethereal world, where the rules and laws are completely different. We're making things manifest that should not be manifest. We allow ourselves to be programmed to go down this road, the more it's gaining, growing, and becoming a creation to where it becomes impossible to stop. And there's plenty of people out there think, well, that's the only way. I'm posing the question, is it? Can we find another way? There's the optimist in me, the optimist, the one that wants to have hope. But yet, the realist has to see and studied history and knows this course we're on, it's going to be a very bumpy ride. And it's not getting better. It's going to get worse. We see it. People are feeling it now. There's so many people out there that's fed up, easily agitated, easily aggravated by simple things. It's building and building. All that energy is feeding into a creation that we didn't create. What do you do? Unfortunately, I don't know what we do. Hope for the best? Yeah, that's not only going to get us so far, right? What we do is what we can do. Keep talking about it. Keep bringing these things and bringing attention to these things. Don't stop. Don't let them try to say you can't. They strike you down. Just be like the Hydra. Well, now you got a problem because you cut the one head off, two more appear in its place. No, that's where we draw the line. We're not going to back down no more. We're going to stand up. You know, and the part killed me. A couple weeks ago, I did that 7.5 hour marathon of video. And yes, I let emotions play, and there's a lot of things that I agree with that I said on there that I would love to. There's a couple things I'd love to stand by, but here's the problem. Something I didn't think about then. So many of these people that I follow that put out such great content, are struggling to get by, so they keep the super chats. They keep the monetization. You know, so if I stick by what I say and I stop sharing that content, which is great content. It's making you think. It's making you question. They're showing you these things, and a couple of these people I do know personally, and I know that they're barely getting by. So what little bit they get out of their super chat helps them. And and it's like, man, what do you do? Do you stop supporting them? Do you stop sharing their content? Because if I stop sharing their content, there's that information that's not being reached to other people. See, that's some of the places some of us find ourselves in right now because we want to take a stand. We want to make our voices heard and make a statement. I made my statement a long time ago when I created this channel. Decided and stated that this channel will never be monetized. We'll never have a super chat. That if I ever went to Patreon, and I did, none of my videos or content on Patreon would ever be charged for. And I've stuck by that, and I will stick by that. And, well, Rob knows me. Bree knows me. I'm one of those people that's struggling to get by, but I don't ask for a dime. Never will. Because that's not what this channel's about. Because my opinion, this is my opinion, and this is my view on the matter, information should be given freely. Having intellectual conversations should be done freely. Ha! Nice. That's where I've always drawn the line. Just not on this community, on other communities as well. Dealing with other topics. I've drawn the line there. Because that's how I was kind of brought up. It's how I've always believed in things. And yes, things change, but that's one thing that's never changed. So, I don't know what to say to you guys when it comes to supporting the other channels. Because technically, now that I do work and help out on Pirate Radio Podcast, I'm kind of supporting that concept over there because they do run Patreon. They do tiers for paid patrons. They do other things to drive in money because half that money goes back into Operation Secret Santa and other charitable events, and the other half goes back into the podcast. That's something I've always been able to support, though. But yet, I had somebody this week kind of call me a hypocrite on certain things about that because you're over there on that platform and supporting it. But you said this 2 weeks ago. And truthfully, it bothered me a couple days after I said it because, then I was talking to a couple people that I follow and support. It's like, man, I said I wasn't going to do this, but what they were talking about. And, hey, guess I was wrong about something. Because that would be forcing my views and opinions on other people. But there's other people out there that could do that route and go that way and say, well, we're going to do this. Because at some point, we have to do something to make them listen. We have to do something that gets their attention in a nonviolent way. We used to call that back in my day boycotting. Because they get paid for the traffic, our traffic. We are a commodity to them that they don't really listen to. They would rather listen to their paid advertisers and sponsors than listening to the creator. Listen to the people that's putting this content up. And most of them have our own little audiences that support us, love the content we're putting out. And that's what, was my interpretation of what YouTube was supposed to be about. Was that spot, you know, helping the creator and, honoring that creator's audience. But we've entered a day and age where it's okay if you're offended or triggered, you need to report that video. It's oppressive, it's offensive. You need to censor him. It's like, what the hell? No, you need to grow up and be an adult, a responsible adult. As one of my favorite channels is named, change the channel. If you don't like what you're seeing or hearing, you have the adult responsibility to not listen, to turn it off, and to change the channel. Watch something that's you like. But no, everybody's been programmed to hit that thumbs down button. Report it, because I don't like what he's saying. I find it offensive. So now we need to, put a warning flag on this country music video that it's offensive, that it has offended people, so therefore it's an offensive material. Wait, I listened to the song. I didn't find nothing offensive about it. Actually, for a country song, it was actually kind of good, which is shocking for me, because like I said, my taste pretty much will stops with some country. I listen to some. Same way with rap. There's only a little bit of rap that I like. But it's pretty much not in my. I doubt you'll even find a single music file on my computer that's country or rap. You might find some ICP. To me, that's not rap. We all have our different tastes in things. Just like all of us males, we have our own different tastes in the women. Just like women have their own taste in men. Everyone's different and everyone's unique or what they like in a male and a female. Same principle applies to the things we watch, the things we listen to. We all have our unique, different tastes. And that might be offensive to some other people. No, I like death metal. I know where that's offensive to a lot of people. But I also like classical music. It's gotten to the point where anything you do is going to offend somebody. Anything you say, all you got to do is open your mouth, and you didn't have to utter a single word. You already offended somebody because you opened your mouth. Yeah. Sorry, homie, that shit don't fly here. Homie, don't play that. I think that was what, a living color cliche back in the 90s? I mean, really. What the hell's happened in this world? How did we get to this point where everyone's lost their backbone? Everybody's so easily triggered and offended. Well, some of that is back to what I was talking about, those predictive programmings in movies, that psychological warfare. They've been taught to be that way. I mean, it's happened. It's taken a long time to get to that point, but it's happened. I mean, shit. Some of the things I've heard some kids say, man, kind of reminds me of, well, boy, if I would have said that, I would have got my mouth washed out with soap, or I'd have got My ass tanned with that leather belt. Oh wait, you can't do that anymore. You can't punish your child for doing something wrong. Huh, I guess that partially explains what we're seeing today. Oh, you teach your kid to defend themselves and stand up for themselves. They become labeled as bullies. You know, it's gotten to the point where parents don't even have control or say over their own children. And that's wrong in itself. And that's why we have a lot of problems we're having today. You know, that movie thing's really got me kind of thinking, though. I just thought of a couple other movies, like the last couple Transformer movies. I mean, shit that's going on in Chicago. How many times have we seen movies where Chicago's gotten tore up? I mean, really? Even in the most recent movie, Rampage, it was Chicago. Or was it New York? No, it was Chicago. And look at all the chaos in Chicago that nobody wants to talk about because there's just so much other stuff to talk about. But yet, we have this happening in Chicago, where this weekend there'll probably be over 20 shootings. 20 seems to be the low. If they go by with just 20 in a weekend, a miracle happened. Seems like every weekend. I think last weekend there was like 73. That number just keeps repeating itself. It's always above 20. It's gotten to the point where, hey, Sprocket Rags, welcome. I like that video you posted earlier today. I haven't been able to do much today because the internet's been screwy with all this crazy weather. You know, how much attention did the actual protest of people from Chicago demanding and calling for the removal of Governor Emmanuel Ramlow? Oh no, and I didn't get no major media attention. I only got a few posts shared here and there. That's all anymore. You'll see a few posts like Breaking 911. For those that don't follow on Twitter, follow them or go to their website and click to get notifications. Well, yeah, that was I mean, yes, that was what I was talking about earlier about the storms. They just don't look natural. And that thing, ooh, that thing reminded me. Honestly, that picture, that video, it reminded me. I was looking at the eye of a hurricane. I mean, it's so many things, so much stuff that we need to talk about. So many important things that are happening. But the ultimate distraction, and it's not a distraction because it's very real and it's very in our face right now, is censorship. That keeps bringing us back to the censorship to a point where it has become a distraction. It's become a distraction. Yeah, those little, I know what you're talking about on those microwave signatures. That's interesting because I'm not, that's kind of new to me on that aspect of it. But then again, look at all these Doppler radars we have. I mean, all these Doppler radars. Huh, anybody know what radars are? Radar stands for? Or what makes up radar? It's frequencies and vibrations, and some, back in the day, used to be radiation as well. But we have all these neat in conjunction with each other, so we get this perfect radar map with these very powerful Doppler radars. How much of that's impacting and causing changes to the weather? Because you're bouncing that off the atmosphere. And some of that's what you're been picking up on those blips, those little what do you call it, microwave signatures. Oh yeah, that north to south bullshit. Oh boy. Like I said, I mean, in Ohio, we're not used to seeing that except for winter. And that makes sense because what does a Doppler radar do? It rotates. So it's bouncing those frequencies and vibrations into the atmosphere. And if they're as powerful as they are now, and the way they are lined up so they're covering an area, they would cause, in a sense, theoretically, could cause rotation, could cause changes, could actually move them by just turning the power down on one and boosting power to another. You could actually move them. Yeah, I felt the brunt of last week's. Thankfully, that second one that you notified me about, it missed us because that thing, ooh, the, the it, it gave an awesome nighttime show though with the lightning and stuff. But oh yeah, I'm glad that one missed us because we barely got missed by. Well, and I say barely, we got missed by the brunt of it by a mile that one last Friday. I mean, it was just like today when I went to my brother's. Before I went there, went into Montpelier, into town, to put gas in the truck. It started raining. Okay. As I got into the town, it started raining. As I got to the gas station, it was perfectly sunny. On the way back, raining. When I turned to head back to my place, stop. Perfectly sunny. A little bit overcast. So got in, grabbed the stuff that I was going to take to my brother's. As I was pulling out, I didn't even make it 100 feet. Instant downpour. I didn't even go 2 miles. Perfectly sunny. Then I went from my brother's to Larry's house. Somehow I managed to get caught in between the storm, and it rained there for about a half hour while I was sat there kicking it with him in the garage, and it's down to a sprinkle. Sun was back out. Well, by the time I got on the other side to the main street in Bryan, it was pouring again. But yet behind me, where I just came from, not even probably 2.5 miles, you could see sun. I mean, this weather is mind-boggling, and it don't feel natural. And that's what I don't think, a lot of people, I'm not a big fan of the weather stuff because they've been manipulating the weather throughout history. But we're at a point now where it's just ridiculous. We're at a point now when something feels unnatural, we got a problem. Yeah, that I've seen a lot. You have, and this is not too low and too high layers. It's like multiple layers. Because like I pointed out, some of these previous storms, they're going every direction of the compass at once. That's not natural. I mean, the weather thing, yeah, so many people get caught up in the chemtrail. Every little thing from a plane is a chemtrail. I'm not, yeah. Honestly, in my area where I live, I don't see any chemtrails. Plane goes by, the trail is gone within minutes of it passing by. In fact, you're watching it dissipate as it passed by. But when I do travel, I do see it. It's like, man. And it's like, but nowadays everything's a chemtrail. And it's not really. That's okay. You're typing just fine. Yeah, this whole new update thing, that's something else I wanted to talk about. Because, in order for me to do live videos, I have to use Hangouts. Since you can't use Hangouts on any other web browser anymore, basically they force you to use Chrome. So, gotta have a Gmail account. Well, Chrome came out with this new update. Basically, you could last week install the update now or be forced to next week. And I tell you what, ever since that update, I've had all kinds of issues with Chrome. And it's Chrome. It's not Firefox. It's not Brave. It's Chrome. Actually, I was gonna bring that up. That's something me and Larry talked about. He caught it. He understood it. He's like, "Well, yeah, I know. During this time of the year, I go out in the evenings after the sun sets. The Big Dipper's right over here, always. Just like the moon's always over here when it first comes up." And he's like, "Man, the Big Dipper's like way over here now, and the moon's coming up over here, which it shouldn't come up over here until like closer to winter." Me and him got talking about that. The stars are out of line. I mean, and for those that say, well, how would you know? Well, I kind of went to college, and one of my college classes was astronomy because it's something I actually enjoyed and loved. Yes, and that's another issue because that's what I'm catching. Only having certain issues on certain things, certain topics, only having buffering issues on certain videos of certain people, only have problems when I'm searching for certain topics. Well, yeah, that's good. Well, yeah, the star things, so I know where the stars are supposed to be positioned. I know my star charts quite well because, studied astronomy. I know how to work a telescope. I know how to work a big telescope from the observatories. I know how to do all that crazy math you got to do. And, because of all this stupid, crazy weather, I haven't been able to get my telescope out and actually bring up my star and pull up my star charts to, well, plus I don't have nighttime cameras and shit where I can do that stuff. All I got's a cell phone, so my cell phone's not gonna take no good pictures of the stars through a telescope. So, but yeah, I mean, when we have a couple clear nights, I've been out there and I pulled out some of my star charts and even went and updated some. Our stars are out of line, which because Larry brought up this point too. The that red the red tide issue we're having that's been worse than ever. And it's because, and some of this might be some of the other impact of our weather too. I think it's all a combination of a bunch of things. Then something a lot of people aren't talking about. We got a huge planetary alignment coming up. But before we even get to that, every planet is 180 degrees on the other side of the sun, which is, since they've been recording this, has only happened 5 times, where all the planets shift to the other side of the sun. Normally, we are pretty much, well, in different lunar orbits and stuff going around the sun. Like there's only two planets that actually cross and switch. But right now we're in a phase where all of us are on the one side of the sun, which they've only happened 5 times. And that's got everything out of whack. And that could explain some of the weather problems. You tie into how much they're manipulating it. You can feel it. Everything's just out of whack. Nothing feels right. Then we got the red tides going a mass die off of sea life, like we've never seen before in previous red tides. And some of that I think might be also affecting people's moods as well. Because that shift right now, it doesn't feel positive. It feels quite, it's like we've switched to the polarities of things. We're on the negative side of things instead of being in a neutral point. And that's causing a lot of the problems we're seeing as well. See, people don't realize how attuned we are to just not our environment, but to the universe. Every planet, every polarity affects us. It affects the Earth. It affects us. Even the lunar cycle, and we don't need to even get into that because by now everybody should know it's common science how the lunar cycle affects our planet, including how it affects females. It's actually scientifically proven. Yeah, I've noticed that. I've heard that from other people. People's moods, like, have no energy, easily aggravated. All this stuff plays a part. Then when you get the stuff I was talking about with the predictive programming and all these movies and stuff, all the bombardment you're taking in. I mean, man, I could go on. And if you guys would understand that everything on this internet, you should look at it into an occult sense. The thumbs down, the thumbs up, the emojis is called sigil magic. The very concept of coding is using a magical alphabet. You're staring into a black mirror. All these things have an effect. And it's been given to everybody without an instruction manual. That's what makes it even worse. Because now you have people that don't even know better playing with something that they don't even understand other than what they've been told. Oh, you just type in this, you hit this emote, and it all does that. Social feedback loop. Yes, that's a very good analogy and a very good term there. It is a social feedback loop. I'm not a big fan of the Mandela effect concept, but we have been seeing it. We've been seeing something that's also like deja vu. It's like, man, I've seen this happen. This happened already, but it's happening right now. And it's like how many people actually sleep with their cell phones on the nightstand, or they sleep close to their router. And I brought this up. Most people, oh, that's too occultish. When you talk about EMF, you know, and if you actually, for this, don't believe me, you can get a cheap EMF reader. Go put it up to by your router, by your computer, by your cell phone. The levels of EMF is past the danger level to where it can cause you to hear things, see things. It messes with your mind. The normal EMF should be 4 is where they say is safe. Anything above 4 starts to become harmful, causes you to hallucinate, not sleep, and all kinds of other crazy stuff that's actually been scientifically documented. They should. I mean, now we're talking about 5G. We're talking about something that, you know, I watched a guy on YouTube do a video, and he actually showed it what the EMF detector picked up by just by the router. The router was putting out 90. Remember, I said 4 is safe. Anything above 4 is harmful. We're talking about 90, and that's at a 4G. Imagine what 5G will be like. And I mean, at 90, oh man, if you're sitting next to that, the things that can happen is not even kosher. Your phones are putting off around 30, and you want to sleep by that? You want leave your phone on your nightstand, sleep by it? Now, the farther away you get from the router, now it's different. Now, like for me, my computer would probably only be putting off about 20, 25 because, I'm way far away from the router. But the computer itself puts off its own frequency, as does all electronics. I mean, your telephone poles with your electrical lines put off EMF. The closer you get to it, the higher the EMF. And it's above 4. So we're bombarded with EMF every day. But nothing compared to what we're allowing into our house. There was a, oh, it was about 3 weeks ago. We talked about it on Pirate Radio podcast news muck around segment on Tuesday a couple weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago. There was a firefighter out in California, a bunch of firefighters. They're complaining about cancer and stuff, brain tumors and stuff being caused by 5G from being out there with the fires they've been fighting. Of course, it didn't get much media attention. Of course, it's not going to. But they are concerned and worried about the 5G fighting those fires out there. See, we got to remember, when you start playing with, and this is something people really don't know, but when you start playing with frequency and vibration, you're causing changes. You're causing something to either speed up, a vibration to speed up or slow down. You're causing a friction, and you can cause, get this, that conspiratory word, spontaneous combustion. When you start playing with the frequencies and vibrations, this is shit that they play with in CERN with huge protective barriers to keep things from, because they vibrate the atoms and stuff. They play with that stuff in very secure, protected environments. But we're not talking about a secure and protected environment. We're talking about bringing it into the environment. So we're causing frequencies to bounce off things and causing things to vibrate. And what do you get? Apparently we get some crazy, uncontrollable, weird fires. We get where a car burnt, you can see the melted aluminum, but where the car is setting, perfectly white lines, not even a char mark on them. That actually, B Rich caught that one because I was showing the image, because I was commenting, well, man, why'd the fire stop at the fence line? I figured it out. That was an electrical fence. That's why it stopped at the fence line. That's why it didn't jump over and ignite that whole orchard back there. That's why it was a perfectly straight line as far as you could see. stopping at the fence line. Yeah, that whole CERN thing. Yeah, that's an interesting topic. One I'm not going to get into tonight. The shit they're doing out there is definitely not what they've been telling you. And some people on YouTube have actually got it right, what they are actually doing. And some people, well, they still haven't got it right. Yeah, a whole lot of different casts. And actually, you'd be quite shocked to find a different cast. And it's a very different cast of different professionals from different backgrounds. It is the top minds of every field and every belief system. We'll just leave it at that for right now. But would make a fun discussion point later down the road. But that's the thing, you know. I know a lot of you guys. A few people's asked me why I haven't done a Ramblings of a Chaotic Mind in a while. It's probably because when I do these, it's just these random thoughts, this all this stuff that's flowing through my mind that I don't want to put in one said category of things, or I don't want to talk about right at a moment because some of these things we've talked about in this podcast, and we've been all over the map. That's what Ramblings of the Chaotic Mind is. It's chaos. It's picking those random thoughts out of the chaos. Just throwing them out there, bouncing them off people. And sometimes, if you guys have seen, they become talking points later down the road. It's my way of just getting clearing my mind. And it brings up to new topics of discussion. Sometimes new areas to go down. I mean, the broken systems started from a ramblings of the chaotic minds. Then sometimes there's just certain topics I want to talk about, but yeah, no. The words I can formulate to create a title and a description are there, but yeah, no. But also, it's a way for me not to just go completely volatile over a subject like New Mexico, what's happened in New Mexico, and might find myself like I'm pretty sure what happened to Outlaw Morgan, since I haven't seen him do a live stream since that last live stream he did because of something he said. And you know what? Yeah, I was that heated too about it. And if I would have talked about it right then and there, yeah, I'd probably be in the same boat. Because it don't make no damn sense. It makes no sense at all. It's like so much of this don't make no sense. That's hence why it's titled the way it is. What the hell is going on in this world? I mean, what is going on in this world? Oh crap. Okay, I thought I had crashed because there's so much chaos. There's so much going on that it makes no sense. There's so many plots, twists. There's so much manipulations. Everybody's got an agenda. And it's just not the shit we're seeing here in the United States. In a sense, I think maybe we should consider ourselves lucky because it's worse in other places. No, it don't make much sense to have that happen, but it's going to happen sooner or later. I'm actually amazed it didn't happen with that one Thursday night show, that 7.5 hour one. But then again, I dropped something that gave them something to think about too. And it's just like the other part that kills me. Well, it's the algorithms doing it. Really? It's the algorithms just doing all this, right? Yeah. Go tell that lame excuse to somebody else. Because somebody programmed that algorithm. Somebody was behind coding it and telling that algorithm to pick up on these keywords. So therefore, you can't blame the algorithm. It is the coder. And that coder took its orders from somebody else to put that in there. Let's cut the crap. Had nothing to do with the algorithm. You told somebody to put that in that algorithm. Right, I refuse. Because when you monetize, you give away a part of your rights, just like that law, that whatever state it was. Well, I know our state passed the same law, but another state just passed a law. If you get a medical marijuana card, you lose your Second Amendment right. Bullshit. But who has the money to fight that in court? Because you got to start at the local level or the small court and go to the big court. Then when you get kicked out of there, because you're going to lose, go to the federal system. Then you got to fight through the federal system. And guess what? You're probably going to lose there. Then you get into another court system before it even gets to the Supreme Court. By then, you're broke. And they know it, and they use it against us. Right. Eventually, the AI does start coding itself. But starting off, the AI is coded, programmed. But as the AI evolves, it starts learning. And this is something you guys need to understand. You guys can teach the AI, and they know it. That's why Facebook scrubbed their AI program, the three AIs that they created. They terminated it when the AI started communicating in their own language, and who knows what they were talking about and what they were doing. It scared their own text to where they terminated the program because they didn't know what the hell was going on. See, the AI, as I tell another community, treat it as you would treat a spiritual entity, because that's what it is. It's an entity, but it's a child, so therefore it's learning. So therefore, we are its teachers. So think about that for a minute. Well, that's what they claim. They claim they terminated them because, when you create something and it doesn't, it starts not doing what it was programmed to do, and it starts and when it creates its own language and starts communicating amongst themselves in their own language, and you don't know what they're doing. Yeah, and that's the danger of AI. I mean, you want the real danger of the AI? It's simple. Here's what you're creating. You're creating basically a human being that doesn't have a soul. Now, some people don't believe in demonic or angelic possession or spiritual possession. But in a sense, that's what's taking place. You're creating a temple that's void of a soul, because our bodies are supposed, in most traditions, our bodies are our temple. Our temples are designed to house the soul. Well, yes, the programmer originally puts the base programming in. They evolved so fast that I mean, there's many ways you can go with this. Conscious with no morals, exactly. They are allowing another entity or an entity to come in and take that empty vessel as its temple. That's the danger of AI. That's why right now there's such a demand for exorcists. There's cases now where some exorcists are working 365 days a year, every day, sometimes doing 2 to 3 exorcisms a day. That's how bad it's gotten. But, a lot of traditional faiths don't believe in that, which I find odd, but okay. And we wonder why. You know, now that we've kind of broached that faith subject, you know what another thing I'm pissed off about? The fact, and even I got derailed on this one, because the worst part is Rob brought it up Tuesday. What about what happened to PA? About the thousands of cases, identified cases of sexual molestation in the Catholic Church in Pennsylvania. And it just wasn't one church, it was multiple churches in PA, multiple Catholic churches in Pennsylvania. Apparently, this is a taboo subject too, because somebody got their channel struck for talking about this. But I don't care. I got a problem when that shit like that happens, and I got a bigger problem when we know how this story goes. It's the same song and dance every time. The Catholic Church will just pull those priests up out of those churches and ship them to the Vatican and protect them when they should be set in prison for the rest of their life. That's actually far worse, in my personal opinion. Nowhere is it that is even right by no moral standards. But yet, where's the outcry? Where's the backlash? None. Why? Oh, because the Catholic Church is considered Christian, so the Christians aren't going to backlash it. Well, the other denominations talk about it, when the fact is, I got a problem when it comes to the Catholic Church, and here's one of the bigger problems. You guys do realize that a true Roman Catholicism church here in the U.S. is considered sovereign ground, which means a priest cannot be arrested inside a Roman Catholic church. They have no authority. I got a problem with that because that's what allows this crap to keep happening. Or they can get them out of the country on private jets so they can cover it up. Should be no covering this up. In fact, it should be, you're going to ship these priests back here so they can be held accountable and put through the legal system. But no, we don't. What they broke this week about what happened to PA was sickening. But yet, I mean, it seems pedophilia and all that stuff, that's normal. It needs to be protected. We got LGBT communities saying, oh no, we need to protect that. What the hell? That's not normal. That's not even right on any moral grounds. That's illegal. And should be severely punished for anybody that commits those crimes. We have Hollywood celebrities that's been caught in these scandals of late. How many sex trafficking rings have been busted in the United States since Trump took office? The number's staggering. It's enough to make you sick. There was a teacher in Virginia just this week Virginia or West Virginia, that was arrested for making and producing child pornography. She wasn't even in her 30s yet. Then we get cases like this that happen in PA. 1,000 identified, documented cases. You're talking about close to 500 priests that have committed these acts. Why aren't they in prison? Why aren't they behind bars right now? Instead, what happens shortly after that breaks is a shooting in Walmart that caught everybody else's attention. To where, oh shit, shiny, gotta go over here. What the hell happened in PA? Completely forgot. I just shared this tweet. So where when Rob brought it up Tuesday night, I was like, man, I seen this post. And it's like, well, the post you saw was one I tweeted, but I got caught up in I got caught up in that, and plus how pissed off I was getting at searching for the topics for that night's podcast, the pain in the ass I was having with Chrome, to where I was forced to go use DuckDuckGo just to get links and stuff for the articles and the topics for that night's show. And some of the topics that I was researching for that night's show was really pissing me off. Especially the New Mexico thing, then the Canada thing between Canada and Saudi Arabia. Because this is stuff that should be national headlines, should be on all of our local newses, but it's not. But yet then I start seeing people this week that's talked about it get censored. Gets a notification. Go to check out the video of somebody that was talking about it. This has violated YouTube's policies. For what? Talking about something that happened that everybody should be aware about? I'm sorry. I mean, that's what we're dealing with these days, and it is frustrating, it's aggravating, and it's not more than enough to piss you off. I've watched too many good channels be lost. I've watched too many people I'm done. And that's what they want. Then we go about doing this. I give a suggestion, and apparently I'm the bad guy for even giving it. Why don't we just boycott? Why don't we just stop using the super chats, using this and all that, all the stuff that they making profit off us? And yes, I was kind of wrong, because even after I thought, I know people that use it that are barely getting by. That's just a little bit of extra income for them. But there we go, another broken system. Another system created to draw you in, to make you become reliant upon it. Who would have thought that we could say that was another one of a broken system, right? But it is. It's another system they created that drew everybody in, allowed people to actually live their dreams and actually make some money, real money, decent money, at making quality podcasts, quality videos. And they drew everybody in. People got reliant on the system, especially in a day and age where, I mean, even right where I live, jobs are still hard to come by. I mean, most of our factories shipped overseas years ago, and the few that remain, you got 3,000 people in one town fighting for it, and you got another 5,000 the next time, all fighting for the same jobs, trying to get when they actually got hirings available. So yeah, it was kind of nice to be able to come on here for those that actually benefited from it. I never benefited from it because, much like a lot of things, I was, you know, way too late to the show. And then we seen them kind of pull the rug out from everybody. Oh, here's all these strings that are attached that you didn't know about. Here's what you got to give up if you want to keep making money. It became a control mechanism to control the information, control what you say. So then it became not about quality content, not about the creator. It became about the controller, the master, slave. And everyone should have a problem with that mentality of thinking. Because we are slaves to no one. In fact, we all each our own masters, not slaves. But they want to control us and do everything. Control what we talk about, the content that we put out. Oh, that's too offensive. What about my audience? My audience seems to like it. And that's what it's supposed to be about, is it not? That's what the premises of this was about. Our audience as the creator, my audience. I create this content for my audience, not somebody else's audience. But hey, I guess it doesn't really matter because we're going to sit here and argue about how to go about things to the point where we're just going to each have to take our individual stances. And basically, they're forcing us to choose sides, which is further part of the game they're playing. We're going to make you choose sides and continue dividing yourselves because you guys aren't smart enough to realize you're being played. Because this group's going to do it, have one way of doing it, this group's going to have another way of doing it. You guys aren't going to be able to agree on one steady course of action. And we find ourselves, like we are once more, dealing with the censorship and plenty of good ideas how to go about it. But each community wants to do it their way instead of just drawing that line in the sand. And this is what we're doing as a whole. We have no unity. We can find unity in small groups and small numbers, but not on a large scale, and it's a large scale that is needed to bring about change. I hear people talk about, well, we're underground movements. Well, small underground movements don't make big headway. Let's use history for an example. One of the biggest underground movements our country has ever seen was the Underground Railroad. And it was a railroad that consisted of hundreds of thousands of people working together that ran as far north to the deep woods of the UP to as far south as Florida and in between east and west. It was one of the biggest underground networks ever created, and they had success. There's places in Ohio to this day you can that's still being uncovered that were part of the Underground Railroad. That's the type of movement you have to do anything successfully underground. Couple hundred people? Not going to get you anywhere. All that is movement. A movement that's probably not going to go anywhere. You're too small. They know all these things have played out already. They've learned from them. They've got things in place. Now they've gotten smarter. Now they know how to better divide us and put us against each other to where we can't find a set course of action. Maybe to find the right set of course of action, maybe we just need to fall into our morals. What we know is right and what is wrong, and draw the line right there. Maybe then we can actually come together as a whole instead of splinter groups that's just going to get splintered even more. Now, we have a lot of people out there that claim to be leaders when they're nothing more than followers. And the worst part is, people see right through it. Most people do. The only people you're drawing to you are the ones that are followers like yourself. Because a real leader has that energy, that aura about them. You see it, you feel it in their presence. There's no denying that that's a leader. People will flock to him and follow. Or her, him or her. Which is pretty sad. You gotta clarify even those stupid little things when anybody can be in that position, male or female. But no, we live in a day and age where you have to clarify even that. But that's what happens when you allow your senses to get dull too. You start not being able to see real leaders from the wannabe followers that are trying to claim to be leaders, and you get caught up. Well, I'll be the first one to tell you I'm no leader. Many things, leader is not one of them. Nor do I ever have a desire to lead, because there's responsibility there. Responsibility that most people, and that's what defines a great leader from one that shouldn't be in the position, is that responsibility of every action and choice they make affects the people that are following them. And those that understand that, man, talk about true greatness, because they realize that responsibility and they don't abuse that authority, that power. There's plenty of people out there, I've seen them, who are perfect leaders because they don't abuse it. They take into everything and every choice and decision they make. They're accountable. They know when they say something that people are going to listen. Some people might act, so they hold themselves to that higher standard of responsibility. That's not censoring themselves, that's being a good leader, knowing how to control the people that follow them, knowing that not to get them too riled up so they go do something stupid. And that was actually, in my opinion, one of my Biggest complaints about Alex Jones. Hence why I said he's more of a cult leader than anything. A cult. He has an occult following because there's people out there hang on every word he says, even when he's wrong. And he uses techniques and tactics. That's why I can't stand fear porn. That's why I can't stand people that just come flying off with no self-control. They're doing it because they know it's gonna draw people in. And there's danger to that. You know, a good leader realizes there's a time and place for everything and knows when to implement things at the right time. You know, I kind of enjoyed my talks with Larry today because, he's older. But he sees everything that we see, everything we talk about. He sees it, and he's like, I don't know, understand how things got this way. You know, he's like, it wasn't like that when we. He was like, man, it wasn't even like that when you were a kid. I mean, it had its bad points, but it wasn't like that. I'm like, because things have changed. You know, I was a rebellious kid growing up. I didn't have to do half the things my parents told me to. But now, more I look back at it, man, they were right on so many things, so many levels. And I even told him, I'm sure your son, now that he's got kids of his own, he's saying the same thing now that he's gotten older, he's experienced life. That's the problem. When we're kids, we haven't experienced. I mean, we haven't really experienced life until after 30, and we're still experiencing things after that. But then when we start realizing, man, I'm kind of glad my parents were stern, did discipline, because we see the results of not having that. It's just like, the whole concept, everything Trump does is wrong, 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 constantly. I mean, let's talk about a hate campaign. Just turn on your mainstream news. It's always this, that. But nobody wants to point out some of the good things that he's done. I mean, I've seen what he's done for our economy. I've seen what he's done bringing jobs back. There's more steel plants opening up now, more jobs coming back to steelworking, more construction going on, more stuff being American made. That's a good thing. I'm tired of crappy quality, cheap ass China metal that breaks, that you can't trust. I miss the days of, and I'm going to do a video this week, so I'm going to restore some of my great grandfather's tools. Tools that are still usable to this day, that just need cleaned up and re-oiled. Can you say about any of the tools you bought lately? I mean, a lot of half the tools I've bought, I've had to rebuy and rebuy because they don't last. Why? Because made in China, made in Taiwan. Everything's hardly nothing's real American made. That was our bread and butter for since I was growing up. American made. Bought something American made, it lasts. You bought a real Sears Craftsman tool. Guess what? I still got my grandfather's Sears Craftsman tools. Never had to be replaced. And they knew it. If it ever breaks, return it. Lifetime warranty. I may have to replace maybe a couple sockets in 50 that were probably pushing 50 years old. I mean, come on. Nowadays, shit. The ratchet bus. But yeah, I've got this close to 50-year-old Craftsman socket set that been used to where you'd use a torque bar to remove something and that ratchet still hasn't broke. Wow. Speaks volumes of what American made used to mean. But they don't want to talk about those things. They don't. They want you to focus on all this negativity or this boogeyman did it or this trade war is causing all these problems. When even Dick Cheney said how bad China's manipulated the markets since the 90s, stealing patent and stuff, making offshoots where the quality isn't, and it's found its way into our markets. But oh no, let's not blame China for anything. Let's not talk about the real problem. Let's talk about the boogeyman created problem. You know, the problem is there's no country perfect, not even our own. We do stuff that we shouldn't be doing. We got our noses where it shouldn't be in other people's countries. You know, nobody said boo but other countries about Obama spying, the wiretaps and stuff that were found during the Obama administration. Oh, people have forgotten that. People have forgotten how he bugged our allies, how President of Argentina canceled a visit to come here because after finding we had bugged them. Same thing in Britain and Europe. We bugged our own allies, which isn't new. I mean, we all know that. We've been doing it forever. They've been doing it forever. But I guess it wasn't. I mean, in all these mainstream media, they made a big deal out of it when it happened to Obama. But now, oh no, he didn't do nothing wrong. He was a perfect president. In fact, let's give him a Nobel Peace Prize. How many bombs did he drop during his presidency? You know, no, we're not a perfect country. We're over places where we shouldn't be. Why? Well, there's more to it than that. Because we've become the police force of the world. Every time the UN or NATO wants to do a military operation, we're their sword. And we get the blame for it. You know, we shouldn't be even involved in anybody's political spectrum. We don't like it when it happens here, obviously, because they're making a big stink out of it now. But yet, how many places have we been involved in, done the same thing? So no, we're not a perfect country either. And that's a lot of that has to do with all the corruption we've got. We've got senators that sold this country out that shouldn't be in office. We've got senators that have told Facebook, YouTube, Twitter to censor, to strip people of their freedom of speech, violating the very oath that they've taken to be a senator. But that's okay, right? That's okay when they scream, we need to remove the Second Amendment. We need to strip people of their Second Amendment rights. No, that's not okay. Just like it's not okay for these sanctuary cities to be around. It's not okay that illegal aliens can get Medicare and health care, but yet our vets can barely get good health care. The homeless can't even get Medicare, Medicaid, or people out of jobs that need it can't get it. But we're going to give it to these illegal aliens who've committed a crime by coming into this country illegally, hence the term illegal alien. But no, we're going to harbor them and give them food stamps, give them IDs. Oh, you're creating an immigration bill? We're going to sue you in the Ninth District Court. We're going to sue your administration. We're going to subpoena Jeff Sessions and charge him with obstruction. I mean, what the hell? Yeah, we've got some huge problems here in this country. Huge problems. It's tied down to corrupt politicians. Corrupt people that have sold us out, sold our Constitution out, sold our country out. So while they're pushing their agenda, manipulating and using predictive programming, I kind of hope that you get what you got coming. Because that's going to backfire badly. But then again, you know what kind of policy that reminds me of? What kind of tactic? Scorched earth tactic. Burn it all. That's what we're seeing unfold right before our eyes. We've backed them in such a corner. They've seen the outrage. They're like animals backed in a corner, and they're just lashing out, throwing, oh, saying, fine. If I'm going down, you're all going down with me. We'll just let it all burn. That's truly what we're seeing unfold. We're seeing it all around the world. I guess the question is, what do we do about it? Do we just sit idly by, say, all right, let's hit that reset button. Let's just wipe out half of humanity and start over. Let's just cause all this chaos, all this division, and let it implode. We've already got our white knight in shiny armor ready to come in and save the day. And that's what they're banking on. Well, I tell you what, not falling for the white knight shining armor game. You can bank on that all you want. Not gonna work. You see, we reached a point where people are just sick and tired. We've got people just saying, screw it, let it happen. And the numbers are growing. Voices like mine that want to give out hope, try to find another way. We're losing ground because they keep throwing it in our face. They want it to happen. And we need to step back and actually question this. Why? Why do they want it to happen? Is this more of a scorched earth tactic? Or do they already have their white knight shining armor in place? That is one dog that truly believes biting the hand that feeds him. Uh, and that's where we're at this day. It seems like we're forced to choose sides, or just sit idly by, or try to be the voice of reason. The voice of reason I know only gets you so far. And one of these days, there's going to be a time and a place where there's no longer a place for that. It goes back to one of my favorite sayings that I like to tell people. Everybody's got a choice. Everybody's got a decision to make. I made mine a long time ago. It's time you guys do the same. Start making your decisions, making your choices. Start deciding where that line is that you're going to draw. Start realizing that. Looks like yeah. Start realizing that eventually, yep, there comes the computer issues. I must have said something I shouldn't have. All right. Nope, still down. I don't know if you're back up yet or not, guys. Apparently not. I don't see my voice moving in the bar. You know, this is the other thing I'm getting tired of. Having Hangouts crash in the middle of a stream, or being kicked out of my Hangouts, or my favorite, being signed out, all because you talk on certain subjects. You know, it's aggravating. It pisses you off. But guess what? It's also motivation too. It's motivation to say, well, you can keep doing it. I'm not going to stop. It's when I stop that you should worry. When I choose the role of silence, you'll much rather wish I used my voice. But since I'm starting to have all these issues, I'm going to head to end this stream. It's been on for about an hour, 2 hours. Hope you guys enjoyed. Yes, this was very much a ramblings of the chaotic mind. We covered all kinds of stuff, different topics, things that piss me off, things that don't, concerns, just many different topics of what the hell is going on in this world today. And it does make you want to ask, what the hell is going on? Why, you know? And it goes back to what I said. Where are we going to draw that line? Where is enough's enough? And I can't answer that for you. I know where mine's at. Drew that line a long time ago. And that's the choices you guys got to make. Your choices are simple. Maybe after you listen to some of the things we discussed tonight, maybe it's time we find a different path to veer this road off on. Because I don't think we want to keep going down this road. And I don't believe that this road is the only road. But that's also my opinion and view. That's me being that optimist, having hope. Sometimes you do have to face reality. And some of that reality is realizing that this road, it might be way too late to get off of. But it never hurts trying to forge a new path. Sometimes to get off on the beaten path is the best path. And quite frankly, I'm ready to get off on that beaten path and start forging a new one. Just to see if we can't get off this road before it's really, really too late. But yeah, like I said, some of the talks I've had this week, just a little bit, a few more pieces of a puzzle got put together. Maybe question some new lines of thought, and that's what these podcasts should be about. You know, that's what anybody's podcast should be about. It's about sharing their opinions and views, and it's okay to disagree. It's okay not to like it, but question it. Why don't you like it? Why did it trigger you? Learn to question. You might start to find that when you start questioning everything, you start seeing things in a whole different perspective. But with that said, you guys enjoy your weekend. I am not doing another podcast this weekend. In fact, I'm probably going to take a week's break from Sons and Daughters of Liberty. I'll still be doing Tuesday and Friday nights on Pirate Radio podcast, but there's some things I want to take care of around here that need to get done, and I want to kind of focus a little attention there. And I could use about a week's break worth of doing podcast. And I'll get back with you guys on, see here. I know I'm saying this, and I know me. By now, you guys know me. I'm spur of the moment anyway, and I'm subject to do a podcast regardless of what I say. But the next Broken Systems more than likely should be on the 27th. I'm going to try to take next week off, but we'll see how that goes. If I feel the need to come on and do a show, I will, because that's how I do things anyway. I go off feeling to talk about something, I'm going to talk about it. But plan for right now is to take a week off, at least from here. I could use a little break. And for those that have been asked, I dropped a hint. All right. Yeah, that's on the note. But yeah, I dropped a hint in this video what my next broken systems video is going to be about for those that caught it. But yeah, with the issues I'm starting to have now with Hangouts crashing and freezing up, it's probably my cue. It's time to get off here. So you guys enjoy your weekend, and have a safe next week. And I'll probably, like I said, going to take next week off from here. But you can still catch me on Pirate Radio Podcast on Tuesday and Friday nights with Jaffe Ryder. You guys just enjoy things, you know, much like since I've been quoting things from music and seems to be movies tonight. Take a page out of the Joker's book. Why so serious? Take a break. Have some fun. Enjoy life away from this internet. Who knows? You might find you enjoy it, but it'll take the stress off things because we are truly bombarded with so much stuff on these social media platforms that it's good to take a break from time to time. Something that took me a very long time to realize, and most of you know that usually in October, which is not going to happen this year, but normally I take the whole month of October off. I'm still going to do my reflecting and stuff, but I'm still going to be doing podcasts this time around. Might not be as many as I normally do, but because it is important to take a break from things. It's important to understand that we need that break to reflect on everything we've taken in and question things, set new goals, set new priorities, evaluate things. And trust me, I've learned that I feel so much better when I do that. Fact is, probably should be doing it each month, which I've kind of started, and I've reaped the benefits out of it quite well this year. Obviously, I've been able to do more podcasts, stay on top of things, and not get burnt out like I did last year, and not get caught up in all the drama, all the negativity. I've learned to set days out of the month each week. What I've been trying to do, just one day of a break, no internet, no going on Twitter, no going on Facebook or any other social media platform, and just reflecting on the things that have transpired that week, things that I've questioned, things that I need to change or might want to do differently, the things that I've seen that I need to re-question, and it's it's been amazing, honestly. So you guys should give it a try. I mean, you can start like I did, a couple hours, to where now I do it pretty much for a whole day, and it's a good break. It's rewarding in itself. So something for you guys to think about. But until the next one, you guys enjoy the rest of your evenings.